Ms. Carpenick?
I'm here.
Mr. Newton?
I am here.
Mr. Pepper?
Here.
And Mr. Lawless?
Here.
All right, all 6 current board members are here. We have a quorum, and we'll turn it over to Lisa Minton.
Good afternoon. The Metropolitan Board of Zoning Appeals is now in session for the regularly scheduled meeting of August 6, 2020. My name is Lisa Minton. I will be presenting the cases to the board for the review in today's public hearing. We are convened electronically pursuant to Governor Lee's executive orders number 16, 34, and 51 in order to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak and still conduct essential business of the metropolitan government. Before we move on to the meeting, the governor's executive order requires a motion to proceed electronically. Staff would solicit a motion to proceed electronically.
We have a motion to proceed electronically. Is there a second?
Second. Lawless.
Mr. Lawless seconded that. Any discussion? All right, take a roll call vote. Mr. Lawless?
Aye.
Mr. Pepper?
In favor.
Mr. Newton?
In favor.
Ms. Carpenick?
In favor.
And Ms. Davis?
In favor.
All right, and I'll vote in favor. That motion passes. We will meet electronically today.
In order to convene this meeting pursuant to that executive order, board members are participating remotely, and we encourage members of the public to submit comments in support or opposition to the board electronically at bza@nashville.gov. We extended the deadline to submit comments, and any comments received by 12 o'clock noon yesterday, Wednesday, August 5th, were provided to the board for consideration prior to the hearing. Any comments received after 12 o'clock noon yesterday will be read into the record. Additionally, we have set up a voice mailbox for members to leave messages for the board on any case called on today's docket. Any messages that were received will be played for the board today. I'm here at the Development Services Center conference room located at 800 2nd Avenue South at a station that has been set up for anyone who wishes to address the board. Additionally, board member David Taylor is here. Social distancing measures have been implemented. For these public hearings, the board reviews the correspondence submitted in support of and opposition of the cases. The board also reviews correspondence and recommendations from other government agencies in preparation for the hearings. In today's hearing, staff will present the site plans, maps, photographs, and other documents that comprise the case record. At the conclusion of the staff presentation, the appellant will present his or her case to the board. After the appellant's presentation, if there is anyone here wishing to speak in support of the appeal, they may do so. If any opposition is present, the board will then hear from those parties. After the opposition presents its testimony, the appellant will have a period of rebuttal. According to the BZA rules, the appellant has 5 minutes for presentation if no opposition is present. In contested cases, the BZA rules allow 10 minutes for each side to present testimony. Should the appellant wish to provide rebuttal testimony, the appellant should reserve some portion of the allotted 10 minutes. At the conclusion of each hearing, the board will deliberate telephonically and then vote on the case. The board is vested with the power to act on these cases under the provisions of Metro Zoning Code Section 1740-180. All section numbers that we refer to come from the Metro Zoning Code, which applies to the entire jurisdiction of the metropolitan government. The zoning code was adopted by the Metro Council and became effective January 1st, 1998. I will introduce the entire zoning code and make it part of today's record. The Metro Code requires a record of these proceedings. Because BZA meetings are recorded for Metro Nashville Network, and because the board is hearing cases telephonically, it is imperative that anyone addressing the board come forward to the podium here at the Development Services Center conference room and speak into the microphone. All speakers should identify themselves by name and address and then make the desired presentation. The Metro Code requires 4 members of our 7-member board to establish quorum. The code also requires at least 4 affirmative votes to grant an appeal. In the event that 5 or more members are present, but the appeal fails to receive 4 affirmative votes, the case will remain on the board's agenda for the next 30 days. Applications that fail to receive 4 affirmative votes within 30 days of the public hearing shall be deemed denied by operation of law. Pursuant to board rules, an aggrieved party may appeal board decisions to Chancery or Circuit Court within 60 days of the entry of the BZA order. Additionally, as per the BZA rules, an aggrieved party may file a motion for rehearing by the BZA within 60 days of the original hearing date. After that time elapses, the board's decision becomes final and no further action can be taken. If your appeal is granted, you are required to obtain the permit for which you applied. A permit must be obtained within 2 years for a board approval to remain valid. It should also be noted that if false or misleading testimony is presented to the board, any board approval could be revoked at a later date by means of a show cause hearing before the BZA. Mr. Chairman, I submit that all cases have been filed in proper order, all appellants have been notified by certified mail, and all legal notice requirements have been fulfilled.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we do have some preliminary announcements regarding deferrals and withdrawals. Today, case 2020-160, located at 1402 Buchanan Street, has been deferred to the August 20th meeting. There are no withdrawals at this time. The consent agenda was published July 31st and August 5th, so that anyone wishing to pull an item from consent could do so electronically. We did not receive any requests to pull anything from the previously published consent agenda. However, as previously stated, we are here at the station set up at the Development Services Center conference room for anyone wishing to appear in person to pull an item from the consent agenda. We'll enter into the record those cases that have been so recommended, and if anyone is here in opposition to one of those cases identified for the consent agenda, we will remove the case from the consent agenda and hear it in its regular order. The first case on the consent agenda is case 2020-148, located at 2000 19th Avenue South, requesting a variance from the front setback requirements within R8 zoning district to maintain an existing fence. Is there anyone here in opposition to case 2020-148? Seeing none. The next case on the consent agenda, 2020-164, located at 4417 Wayland Drive, requesting a variance from the 86.25-foot front contextual setback. They're requesting the 75-foot front setback, and the 15-foot required side setback, they're requesting a reduction to 10 feet within the RS40 district to construct a single-family residence. Is anyone here in opposition to case 2020-164? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the next consent case. 2020-166, located at 5800 Edmondson Pike, is a variance from the sign restrictions within AR2A district to construct an electronic message board for an existing church. Is there anyone here in opposition to case 2020-166? Seeing none. Case 2020-167, located at 2960 Armory Drive, is requesting a variance from the driveway restrictions within IR district to construct a distribution facility. 3 driveways are allowed, and they're requesting a 4th. Noting that there are already 4 driveway curb cuts on the site, they're just wanting to relocate those. Is there anyone here in opposition to case 2020-167? Seeing none. Mr. Chairman, staff would solicit a vote from the board at this time on these cases.
Okay, there's a motion for the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Lawless?
Yes, sir.
All right, I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. Mr. Lawless?
In favor.
Ms. Davis?
In favor.
Ms. Carpenet?
In favor.
Mr. Newton?
In favor.
Mr. Pepper?
In favor.
And I'll vote in favor also, and the motion passes.
Members of the public, if your case was just approved on the consent agenda, please give our staff until Monday to process all the documentation associated with your appeal, at which point you may come in to pursue those permits for which you have applied.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good luck.
Absent any other announcements, Mr. Chairman, we're ready to proceed with the cases to be heard.
All right.
The first case to be considered is case 2020-159, located at 4353 Goings Road, requesting a variance from the 34.8-foot contextual front setback. They're requesting a 20-foot front setback to construct a single-family residence.
What was the contextual?
34.8.
No, that's not correct.
we will go through the slides and then we can verify the contextual setback. Here's an overview of the parcel. Here it is. Here's an overview of the site in relation to other properties. Here's the site plan provided. Here's a view of the property. Adjacent properties. The appellant is present. If you will, I don't believe there's anyone here in opposition. If you will announce your name and address, and we will try to confirm the contextual.
Okay, my name is Hosan Bawari. I'm representing Nashville Homes, LLC. I'm the owner of the property located at 4353 Goins Road. And I'm requesting a variance from the contextual front setback to build two single-family homes, and this is a R6 zoning. And I'm requesting a 20-foot front setback based on the zoning table 171230C. And the current contextual setback, believe it's about 52 foot because of the one house on the left of mine. It's, I believe, 87 feet from the road, where the other two houses, one is 32 and a half foot, the other one is 37 foot from the road. So because we subdivided the lot, the current contextual setback is not going to provide a suitable building envelope for us to build.
So you all already, I guess the question is, why did you subdivide the lot to create this issue for you?
Well, the lot next door and all down the street, they're pretty much 30 foot from the road. That just one house next door, 4349 Goins Road, is 87 foot from the road.
Right. Now, I understand that. I mean, I guess if I'm looking at the one on the corner there,
Yeah.
That house is 32 feet from the road, and it has two houses on, I guess I don't know if it's a subdivided one now.
It was subdivided.
Or not, but, I guess the question is, why would you not be able to do closer to 30 feet from the road instead of 20?
We can do 30 feet. We could do, we'd be happy with 30 feet too.
I mean, if they're 32 and the other's 37, it seemed to me like you should be somewhere between, in that 32 to 37 range, 30, and I don't know what the other board members feel like, but, and it looks like you can access, is the second home going to orient toward Old Goins Road, or is it?
No, both homes are going to be facing Goins Road.
Okay. And then, it was a little confusing on your, on the site plan, because you got a driveway that I guess belongs to your next door neighbor, and is that?
That's going to be removed.
Okay, so and then it had an existing house, so I said I couldn't really understand exactly what you were at, on that drawing there when it's blown up on our packet is confusing, but I do understand it now. When you're talking about the property with the two dark black lines, you've subdivided the property into two, and you just want a front setback variance to be in line closer to the two next door neighbors other than the one immediately to you.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board? Mr. Newton?
Would a 35-foot setback be fine with the owner?
35 would be, acceptable. 20 would be better because the back of this property slopes upward. So closer we are to the road, it gives us, a more level place to build the house where we don't have to have kind of like a very big crawl space or something like that. But, so 35 is acceptable, but 20 would be better for me.
Mr. Lawless?
Can we go back to the photographs of the lot itself? Okay. Keep going. Well,
Which one?
I'm not. You're going to have to go through them because I couldn't stop it and get my hand up fast enough earlier. Because there's one that shows it looks like the notice sign or placard or whatever laying that. There we go. Were the signs not up? I mean, were the folks around there aware of it? I mean, I'm looking at the red thing in that big photo.
Yeah, I went by every couple of days and made sure that it was standing back up. There's rocks, a lot of rocks in the ground, so when I put it in the ground, it wouldn't go all the way in the ground. So I would go back there, every couple of days and try to put it up.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Anything else that you'd like to add?
No, sir. I appreciate y'all's time.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Thoughts from the board? Mr. Newton?
My only thoughts are, it kind of seems like they're really, I know the contextual is if there's a established development pattern. It doesn't seem like there's really an established development pattern for this street. It's kind of all over the place from what it looks like on the aerial and from the setbacks. So, I think that some kind of relief there would be appropriate. But, I think that it should kind of be in line with some of the kind of the newer pattern development that's being established on that road, whether that's 30 feet or 35. I see it looks like the kind of left edge of that image right now. There's some newer construction there that might be closer to the road, and that looks to be in line with kind of that 30 foot on the corner. So I think somewhere in that, that more established construction zone will be appropriate. Although it does seem like some of these issues are caused by the applicant.
Ms. Carpenter?
Okay, I would agree. I would be willing to grant a variance to allow a 30-foot and a half, 32 and a half foot setback, which matches the residence next door. So I could make that a motion and see if there's a second.
So you move for a 32.5 foot front setback?
Mm-hmm. To match the residence next door.
Okay. Mr. Newton?
I'll second that.
A motion. Ms. Davis, did you have your hand up?
I did, but I'm going to wait to listen to the discussion on the motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, and now we have the discussion. I tend to agree that, again, it matches the setback of those lots that have two homes, and that seems to be the trend of where this street is headed. I wouldn't be supportive of the 20, but the 32.5, which puts it in line with the house next door, is one that I think I can support. Other discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, we'll call the question and start with Mr. Newton.
In favor.
Ms. Carbonek?
In favor.
Ms. Davis?
In favor.
Mr. Lawless?
I cannot go with this one. Against it.
Okay. Ms. Mr. Pepper?
In favor.
I'll vote in favor also. That motion passes 5-1. Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, so 32.5 feet was the motion.
2.5. All right, thank you very much.
All right, next case. I'm waiting in the doctor's office to get called.
The next case,
Yeah.
the next case to be considered is case 2020-161, located at 3864 Logistics Way. It's requesting a variance from the sidewalk requirement within the IR district to construct a warehouse without building sidewalks or contributing into the sidewalk fund. Here's the parcel viewer map showing the site highlighted in pink. An aerial. Site plan showing the location of the buildings. Street view of construction at this point.
So you already, sorry.
There's no one here in opposition to this case. Mr. Chairman, I would propose that we move forward. I'm sorry, we've received an email from a council member in response to that. It will be read into the record. After that point, the appellant may.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, we read in letters from the council members rather than having them appear in person. This is a letter dated August 6th from council member from District 23, or rather 33, Antoinette Lee. Her letter dated August 6th, dated to the chairman and the members of the board, reads as follows. Dear Chairman Taylor and members, I'm writing to express my opposition to the applicant's request for a variance from the sidewalk requirements in the IR district at 3864 Logistics Way. We need sidewalks in the area. The appellant does not want to build sidewalks. That is fine, but I'm not in favor of them paying into the sidewalk fund. Thank you for your attention to this request. Sincerely, Antoinette Lee, Councilwoman, District 33.
She wants him to build a sidewalk.
So
You may state your name and address.
my name is Brad Chase. I'm here on behalf of Michael Augustine with DRG. We've already paid into the sidewalk fund. We are arguing to recoup that money possibly. My whole point is it's an industrial complex. There's no sidewalks, it's a dead-end road. All the neighboring properties do not have sidewalks. And this is phase 2 of DRG's project. During phase 1, we complied and we built some sidewalks along Old Hickory Road that basically dead-end now. So I don't see the purpose of sidewalks. I understand the determination, but that's my case.
So the two phases on this, so this is on the same piece of property?
So to
Or
the
just a
left,
different part? So this isn't,
Well, the other with this view.
the other one would have been another piece of, another parcel, right?
correct. Building A was phase 1 of the project.
Very good. Yeah.
After the fact, they
Mr.
replatted.
Chairman, there's an awful lot of feedback, at least on my phone. There may not be on somebody else's, but I'm having a heck of a hard time hearing.
Any better?
It's a little better.
Okay.
So this is a different parcel. I know the first parcel actually touched Old Hickory, and then you built some sidewalks on Old Hickory as part of that project.
Correct. It's my understanding that it was all one parcel whenever they bought the land. Then after they completed phase 1, which is now leased out to Amazon, they replatted and split up into separate parcels. I'm on the construction side of things. I'm not sure why they replatted. That was
May not have been
from a
a
developer's
good
standpoint.
decision in terms of sidewalk
Right.
money. Well, and I guess, you know, the only, and so it's been through the waiver process where you ask and the planning department has recommended, you know, that you do pay, you know, for the second piece because it's a new parcel and it's a whole different project. And I guess through the waiver process, that was supported, and that's why you're here.
Correct.
and other than it being an industrial area, because you're not the first industrial zone to come and say, it's an industrial zone, there's no sidewalks, but the council, and again, we didn't make the law.
Right, I understand.
Unanimously passed the original law that said everybody's got to pay or bill, and so.
I get it, sidewalks are great, but at the same point, they're only as good as the people that are using them.
Right.
It being an industrial complex, nobody's going to be using them. It's just truck traffic.
Right, and so, but so it's either pay or build in this situation, and so I guess the only case you're making is that from a builder's perspective, you considered it one parcel, and you've already done for the first parcel what?
Correct.
Okay.
And we built sidewalks along Old Hickory, right there where logistics turns into Old Hickory. They go along the frontage of that phase 1 property, and they dead end.
Okay. Mr. Lawless, you had a question?
I did. Have they already gone through the waiver process?
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
The waiver process, I guess the waiver process, the result of the waiver process was that they should either build a sidewalk or pay the fine.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Did you have anything else to add?
That's all I have.
All right, we'll close the public hearing. Thoughts? Ms. Carpenter?
Well, I'm still thinking through it, but they have built a sidewalk, as I understand, on Old Hickory Boulevard as part of the original appeal, as part of the result of that. Now they're being asked to build on Logistics Way, which was part of, that frontage was part of the original appeal.
Well, I think I think the issue was that they split the plat, or they split the property into two. And where they may have been thinking about it as one, it really was two. And so I think there's a logical thought on their part that, hey, we've already been through this, and then yet legally and realistically, no, that's not the case, because you basically have a second lot that you're building on now that you have a whole different analysis on.
Well, truthfully, I think they should build or pay on Logistics Way. I'm not sure. I don't recall. Maybe we could look at the photos again.
Well, and they testified they've already paid. They chose to pay, and if we were to determine that they didn't have to pay, they'd get some of that back or all of it back.
I see.
So they've already made the choice to pay rather than build on Logistics Way, as they testified just a minute ago.
Okay, well, I don't think a refund is due, so I guess I'm not in support of the appeal.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Mr. Lawless?
Was that by any chance a double-pronged motion by Christina that she wanted to close the public meeting and make a motion to deny?
Well, the public meeting is closed, and so it sounds like that was a motion to deny the appeal?
Yes, I can make that into a motion to deny the appeal.
And I would love to second it.
Okay. Have a motion, have a second. Is there any other discussion? Mr. Pepper?
So if the appeal is denied, they will have to pay in to the in lieu of fund for logistics. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, just for the frontage on that parcel that they subdivided off the A. Yeah, there's an A and a B, so this is just the B part.
Just to be clear, we've already paid for logistics.
Yeah. So they've already paid the money. But that was their choice. But this is just to determine this is their kind of last attempt at saying, hey, we really wish we didn't have to pay the money. Are you sure we have to?
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
So I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any other discussion or questions? All right, we'll call the question and start with Ms. Carpenter.
In favor?
Mr. Newton.
In favor.
Mr. Pepper.
In favor.
Mr. Lawless.
In favor?
Ms. Davis.
In favor.
All right, that motion passes. I'll vote in favor. That motion passes unanimously. Good luck. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, no one's here for 116.
The next case for the board to consider is case 2020-162, located at 1715 Castleman Drive. The requesting of variance from the 61-foot.
I thought she said nobody was here. Okay.
61-foot contextual front setback and the requesting a 50-foot setback within the R20 district to construct two single-family residences. The appellant is not present, but the zoning administrator will read an email into the record on their behalf.
Okay, so they chose not to be here.
Correct.
Okay. I'm sorry.
By members of the board, the letter submitted by the representative for the appellant, Mr. Dwayne Cuthbertson, has submitted this letter in support of the case. All, as a courtesy to others and respect for social distancing, I will not attend Thursday's BZA meeting in person. I will be listening in, and if possible, can certainly call in and or receive calls or texts to answer any questions that might arise prior to or even during the meeting. We mailed a separate letter to property owners within 1,000 feet of the subject property, providing them with our site plan and an explanation of our request. We also made ourselves accessible for questions by providing various contacts. I received 7 phone calls and 1 email. Every inquiry concerned the trees on the property. At no point did anyone express concern with our request to shift the Hunt Place setback. I've expressed our commitment to keep all of the trees along Hunt Place and our attempt to retain the tree on the north side of the building envelope. The retention of the northern tree is only possible with the grant of the variance. We've also committed that if the northern tree cannot be saved, that we will replace it with a similar species tree in that general vicinity. We have not received any negative responses. We have received several letters of support from surrounding neighbors. The owner of the development company lives 2 doors down from this property on Castleman and will be available should any site development issues arise. We have been in consistent communication with the council member regarding our request. Up to this point, he has not expressed any concerns with our request. I hope there is enough evidence for the board to find in our favor. Should they have questions or concerns, my hope would be that they would defer our case and allow us an opportunity to address them. I can be reached at any point prior and during the hearing at the contact below. I appreciate all you do, Dwayne Cuthbertson.
Mr. Chairman, we do have someone here in opposition to this case.
Okay.
And you'll come to the podium and state your name and address.
Sure. My name is Polly Gleason, Gleason. I live at 4405A, Belmont Park Terrace.
Where is that in relation to the property?
I'm the first house of Belmont Park Terrace, so I'll be the house getting all the runoff from their build.
Okay.
I'm spatially challenged, so.
So you back up to them?
Yes, my house is here, the 2 houses that this organization
So if
developed.
you're looking on this sheet right here, that one with the little dotted line is where they're going to build. Are you above it?
I'm below it.
You're across the street?
No, I'm on Belmont Park Terrace.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is Mr. Pepper. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to make a point of order because I have a question for Mr. Cuthbertson, and I just wanted you to know that because usually the opposition speaks after the applicant, so I just wanted you to be aware. Okay. I'm fine with doing it this way, but I didn't want the opposition to feel like that they did not get a chance to speak after I had after Mr. Cuthbertson answered the question. So.
Okay, unless there's objection from the board, we'll continue to hear from this neighbor, and then if after your question or if there's any other information that's presented as new, if this lady has something to say, then we'll have a chance to just make sure everybody's had a chance to address these things. It's just such a strange thing to not have people here personally. Is it?
It's reminded that Dwayne's not here.
Yeah, and because Dwayne's physically not here, so that his testimony was just the letter, and he's available by phone. So let's hear from her, and then from the lady in opposition, and then we'll go back to the application, and then if the opposition feels like they need to weigh in on some of that, then we can make sure that that's heard. So, ma'am, yours is the large house to the right?
Here. These two houses are Catherine houses.
Oh, I see, okay. So for the board, if you see the red dot on your screen, there are two houses immediately to the right, and the lady in opposition lives in the house just below those, which is the first driveway that hits Belmont Park Terrace. That B in Belmont that you see, if you go down a little bit, that's her driveway and her house right at the bottom of this screen. And Mr. Lawless, I'm sorry, do you have a question?
I'm just, and I hate to say it again, but the acoustics are pretty poor, and we've got some background in there, and I realize we're not in our normal setting, but
yeah.
any help would be appreciated.
Everybody, we all know your house now, so if you can, because the microphone is by your podium, and the board's having a little tough time hearing. Okay, continue, ma'am.
Okay, so if you look at the picture, all of the green that you see, that's my property. Mm-hmm. All of that big, black, ginormous stuff, that's their property, and it's covered in concrete. Right now, there's not adequate drainage, and the drainage that they've put into their property actually drains out onto my tree lawn, like their two vents or their pipes. My concern with what's going on with this bill, and I'm glad they're going to try to save the house, but if they do another major, make it bigger, pour more concrete, my backyard's going to be washed out. And I'm concerned about, I've lived in that house for 30 years. I've paid property taxes for 30 years. I don't have children in the schools. All I get is trash pickup.
Have you talked to Mr. Cuthbert?
The only thing that I have seen, or the only contact I have had around this, was the sign in the front yard. I rerouted my day to come to this hearing.
Right.
Because I didn't know how else to be heard.
Okay. So your main concern is the runoff from the bill, then you'd like to have at least an opportunity to talk with the person who's building the project. Is that? When they built the two big houses, I was assured there wasn't going to be a problem, and when they tore up my grass, they told me they'd take care of it, and they threw down some seeds. No, what I'm concerned about is if they make this bill bigger, they're so concerned about being appropriate to the community, but the two houses built behind me that took all my daylight away on a variance, because I didn't understand then what all this means, is the amount of concrete they pour. And I think bigger, more houses, it says more runoff. And after assuring me the runoff wouldn't come into my yard, they didn't build French drains, and the pipe that they have are at the edge of their property pointed squarely at my tree lawn. And is this, do you know, is this the same, I don't know if it's the same builder.
They are the same builder.
It is the same builder. Okay. The Bill Nashville DBD or DB2, whatever. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you're, based on your experience for next door, do you have legitimate concerns about how, I shouldn't have said they're legitimate to you, and I'm saying I agree. I think you brought concerns that about how they're going to address this issue. The issue that they have brought before us is really the placement of the home and yeah, the two homes.
Yeah.
The one specifically, I think the one it probably may be there would be placed where it is regardless of what we decide, and the other one could move closer to Hunt Place, further away from you, if we decided in their favor for their request. The thing that I'm wondering now is if the board is, feels like it's necessary or necessary for a decision, but also important for the neighbor to have an opportunity to talk with Mr. Cuthbertson to better understand this. Mr. Lawless, did you have
I do, and the objecting party has raised the issue. Do we know what the amount of impervious surface is going to be on the proposed lot?
Yeah, we don't, but I don't think that's in the law. Yeah, I mean, as the zoning administrator said, it would be in the law. And so, that's a little bit of what I'm struggling with on the question, but I'm sorry, ma'am, did you have other things to add at this point?
No, you understand my issue. I've been in the house 30 years, and I don't want my foundation washed out or my trees falling on the house, because I do have trees.
Okay, and thank you. And what we're trying to decide at this point is, is simply the location of these homes that they're entitled to build on this lot, and where they go. And there's a little bit of, and I understand that frustration, but some of the frustration is the same that we hear with other types of cases, short-term rentals and others, is that there's not always a place to go to voice that. And whether or not this is the appropriate spot for it, I think we can help determine through our discussion, but it's, assuming that the other folks that weren't particularly good neighbors did the legally right thing, they may have still not been very good neighbors in the way they handled their construction. And then the results from that too are impactful. So, Mr. Pepper, you had a question that you wanted to raise for the applicant?
I did.
What was your question?
Okay, is he on the phone, or do you want me to just give it to you and we're going to do this?
No, I would say just make the question public, and then just tell us what the question is, and then we can either decide to try to contact the applicant or put it on given.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that is most compelling to me about this application is that adjusting this setback will save this mature oak tree, and I'm a huge believer in saving trees, especially mature trees. But I want to know what assurance we have that if we approve this, that tree will be saved, because what I heard was essentially in the applicant's letter was they would try to save it, and if they couldn't save it, replace it, and that to me is just a big difference. So I wanted to ask the applicant what assurances we have that the construction will not affect that tree. Because to me, there's a big difference between having what looks to be like probably 100-year-old oak tree versus somebody planting a new sapling there.
Right. Okay, Ms. Newton?
Frankly, I'm not an arborist, but I have little faith that this tree that's about 5 feet from the house shown on this plan is going to survive anything. But again, I'm not an arborist and I'm not an expert in that matter.
So I guess the question for the board is, Mr. Lawless, you had a question or comment?
I was just going to amplify Mr. Newton's comments. I mean, I've dug enough trees up in my years, and when I had hair about your length, Mr. Chairman, I can tell you within 5 feet, that's going to be tough. But I think the applicant needs to have an opportunity. You had the opponent show up, so I'm a little bit more lenient, I guess, and thinking this matter needs to get passed, or it may not be a good result.
Mr. Chairman, this is John Michael, the zoning administrator, and as he had offered, the applicant has been available via text at least. We're not set up for call-in. We are sorry for that. Welcome to the COVID era. In short, I posed Mr. Pepper's question as to what assurances would be in place with regard to the northern tree that will in fact be saved if the appeal is granted. And again, this is via text. I'm sorry that these are imperfect and somewhat brief. Basically, one, they're going to have to follow the drainage rules that are in place for plantings that exist, mature plantings that exist on the lot. They would also utilize a tree protection fence, which is commonly seen on construction sites to help prevent any harm to the base of the tree and the root system. And ultimately, they're of course willing to have the property and the tree itself inspected by the urban forester, who is a staff member here at Metro Codes. They did something similar at another project across the street in order to try to save a close tree. However, a year later, it's dying. So they can do what they can do, of course, and are willing to do so. But at the end of the day, I think those are the answers we had, at least for now, from the applicant. Not to be misunderstood as Codes' answers to those questions, but this is what's been provided by the applicant.
Did you ask the question about the drainage runoff and opportunity to meet with the neighbor? Ms. Pepper.
So I think Mr. Lawless and Mr. Newton made really good points. Would it be, I'm just kind of throwing this out there for the other board members, it would probably be helpful for me to hear from our Metro arborist about whether or not, what are the possibilities this tree can be saved, because I think Mr. Newton and Mr. Lawless made a pretty good point that, and I tend to agree with it now that I look at this distance, that, you know, if we're going to grant this and it's a long shot that this tree is going to make it, that's going to matter to me. So, because as I see it, that's one of the most significant hardships the applicant is relying on. And as I said earlier, that's something that's very compelling to me. So it might be, I mean, right now I'm going to pretty much assume that Mr. Logan and Mr. Newton are probably right that this is unlikely to be a tree that can be saved if it's 5 feet away from construction. But I'm willing to hear from, you know, the Metro arborist if that's helpful. That's where I am. That's my suggestion if that's what it is, I guess.
Mr. Lawless?
Without any expert testimony from the arborist, I would have a difficult time, and I think the proponent needs to probably have an opportunity to present himself, but I'd also like John Michael perhaps to bring the arborist in. 5 feet on a huge oak tree like that. I mean, I'm not an arborist, but I also wasn't born yesterday. I'm going to suggest that we pass this, although that does put a hardship on the person opposing.
Do you have a picture of the tree?
There is.
I would second a motion to pass it, Mr. Lawless.
Thank you, sir.
To do what?
No, it's part of it on the right side.
Okay.
I believe is the one they're trying to say.
I'm sorry, y'all. I was trying to pull up a picture of the tree.
It's the one she's shown.
That's right by the.
Yeah, it's willing to defer and have the conversations.
All right. The zoning administrator said the applicant is willing to defer this to the next meeting in order to get some more information from the arborist and have an opportunity to meet with the neighbor. Is that, were you, Tom, I know you were saying, is that what you were saying? Sorry, Tom?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you talking to me, Mr. Chairman? I'm sorry.
Yeah. You had your hand up and
well, I was just going to say I was going to call the question since we've got a motion in a second. I wasn't trying to be mean or anything like that.
So I'm not sure I formally closed the public hearing, but the public hearing will be formally closed, and the motion is to defer this one meeting for the applicant to talk with the urban forester, and also if you instruct him to make contact with the neighbor who's on is here today, and I can't remember the street she's on, but it's the street right behind the project they just did. So that's the motion, and Mr. Lawless, you seconded?
Yes, sir, I did.
A motion, have a second. Any other discussion? We'll vote. Ms. Carpenter, you had a discussion?
Yeah, just for some clarity, I thought I heard two motions, but the last motion made was to defer, is that correct? And that's what
the last motion was to defer this until the next meeting. That's the motion on the floor.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Ms. Davis?
In favor.
Carpenter?
In favor.
Newton?
In favor.
Pepper?
In favor.
Lawless?
In favor.
I'll vote in favor also. That meeting will be deferred. The motion, or the case will be deferred one meeting. And ma'am, we'll ask the applicant, but if you would also, you can talk to the codes folks. They can figure out and tell you how to get in touch with the applicant so that you can address your concerns with him directly.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming down. Next case.
Next case is 2020-163, located at 1402 Keller Street. They're requesting a variance from the 6,000 square foot lot size requirement to construct 2 single-family residences in an R6 zone parcel. I will go through the slides, and then the zoning administrator will read a letter into the record from the council member. Here's a parcel viewer showing the location of the lot. Aerial view from the survey. The survey square footage came in at 5,554 square feet, so it's 446 square feet short of the 6,000 square foot requirement.
Okay.
There's a street view and adjacent properties.
Okay.
I believe
And then we have
zoning administrator will read the letter into the record.
letter from the council member.
We received our correspondence from Councilmember Quincy Toombs. Ms. Toombs writes as follows. Dear board members, Mr. Kilpatrick has appealed to you for a variance on the lot size requirements for the R6 district. His lot is just shy of the size required to build 2 single-family homes. I've spoken with Mr. Kilpatrick, who is a 4th-generation native Nashvilleian. He desires to build 2 homes on this lot, one of which he intends to live in as his primary residence. With rising housing costs that have pushed native Nashvilleians to the outskirts of the county and surrounding counties, allowing residents to develop their land in a responsible way is a pathway to keeping native Nashvilleians in Nashville. With increasing development in District 2, it is my desire to keep longtime residents in the district. Building a second home on his lot will allow Mr. Kilpatrick to have the financial means to continue to live in Nashville. I support his request for a variance. Quincy Toombs, Metro Councilwoman, District 2.
Okay, the applicant here. If you would just go to the podium and state your name and address and tell us why you're here.
Good afternoon to everybody here today, all board members. Thank you for your due diligence on being public servants. I do understand that. My name is Frederick Douglas Nashville Patrick. I do reside at 1402 Keller Street here in Nashville, Tennessee. The zip code is 37208. What else did you need from me, sir?
Oh, just an overview of your case.
Oh, yes. So, as you see, 4th generation Nashville native. With all the development going on in the city, from developers who come in and run away, I'm a 4th generation Nashvilleian. I'm here to stay. It's pretty clear and evident. And as my council lady said, when you live in this city and you read all the newsletters or the articles, to live here as a single individual is getting very, very unobtainable if you don't continue to, develop your skill set to be whatever pays out. At this point in 2020, they're saying you need about $80,000 to live comfortably as a single person with no kids, and that's not the case for me. So I'm humbly requesting that the board grants this. I'm in a hardship. That is the reason that I'm here.
That's the shape of the lot. The hardship is the shape. You're short because you have a weird shaped lot.
Correct. Yes, exactly. And I don't know if this is appropriate to say, but trying to buy my neighbor's neighbor's backyard is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So with that, like I said, I will be able, humbly, if you grant this request, to build two houses where I will reside in one and rent out the other, which will help me establish that income to offset my normal salary of being a taxpaying citizen here in the county of Davidson.
And you're zoned R6, which allows that. You're just short, and it looks like from the aerial map that most of your neighbors, I'm sorry, from the other one you just said, I'm sorry. Yeah, there are already people that are building two homes on lots across, on the street that is right next to yours, and that your other neighbors to the left, at least those next two, would have enough square footage just outright. So it looks like this isn't a case where you would get something your neighbors wouldn't, by this, that you actually are close, and the other neighbors probably have surpassed the 6,000 needed to have two.
Yes, they just, I guess for some reason, my neighbors to the right and left just haven't taken advantage. But like you said, as you see the area map, in my neighborhood, I'm literally in walking distance to several lots that have two parcels now, or two dwellings. And basically what had happened was my last council person, the Caucasians, he actually rezoned it. And I feel, I know he zoned it so the citizens can take advantage of the zoning.
Right.
So with the current council lady now, Ms. Toombs, as the attorney read off, she's in total support of it, and I'm so glad that she is, because she knows, being a native Nashvilleian, I'm a unicorn, being a unicorn, and she knows it's far in between. So,
okay.
So that's my humble request.
Okay, Mr. Lawless has a question for you.
Yes. Can we go back to the aerial view again, please? Okay, Ms. Kilpatrick, can you tell me you've got two pretty good sized trees there, one way in the back. Please don't tell me it's a hackberry, but what type of tree is it, if you don't mind?
I do apologize. I didn't take that up in school. I didn't like trees or plants growing up. But the one in the back is actually my neighbor's on the left. As I'm looking at it right now, that's actually my neighbor's tree. But the one in the front is mine. And again, I do apologize for my ignorance.
There's an area.
Yeah, well, if it was a hackberry, you'd know it, I think. But okay, thank you.
Okay.
Does that help?
Any other questions for the applicant? Tina, did you have anything else to add?
Yes, I just want to, in closing, just humbly request this variance, because I'm in hardship, and I don't know if this hurts my case or not. Being a native Nashvilleian, I plan on staying here. That is the reason for this to happen. I'm not, a developer that makes millions of dollars. So.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. We'll close the public hearing. Comments from the board. Ms. Davis.
So, while I'm definitely sympathetic to the applicant, and I understand the native Nashvilleian, I think I'm a fifth-generation Nashvilleian, so I actually don't feel that unique. But for me, this one's sort of hard to get to. I don't see a hardship. I understand what the intent was for upzoning this area, but the lot is only 0.14 of an acre. So under R6 zoning, it's simply just not big enough to meet the zoning. So without more, and I'm still listening, I haven't made up my mind, but just looking through the materials, looking at the lot, looking at the acreage, I don't necessarily see a hardship other than just wanting to take advantage of the current patent, which there's nothing wrong with that. I completely support that, but it just may be that this lot's not big enough.
Well, and, I look at it, anything that's kind of, 10% or less, which, this one is, look at the shape, is it shaped differently than the neighbors? And, it's in an area where all of the lots are shaped a little strangely. but even the ones that are shaped strangely close by, there are only a few that I think fall into his category, and they probably are all pretty close to his category, which is, 90% of what's required. All the ones behind him, the ones that are up, close, the one that, I don't know what direction it is, but the ones that are above him on this screen all have the ability, it appears, if he's at 90 some odd percent, the others certainly look bigger, and you'd assume that they would be closer to 100, if not over the 100%, needed of 6,000 square feet. And so for me, it would allow him to have what the neighbors have, and it's close enough, and the council person supports it. So I'm inclined to say the hardships is the shape of the lot, knowing that if it were, it's in a weird spot in the block, so it couldn't be squared off. But if it were to be squared off, I think he would have his square footage. Mr. Lawless.
Can we see the aerial photograph again? Because I'm trying to get. Yeah. Okay. So nobody else has 4 parking places across the front of it, as is shown in our package. I'm trying to find a way to get there. I like his trees, obviously. Mr. Pepper, you started something today with me, so I'll fault you for that. But I'm having a hard time with the size of the lot too. So I'm struggling with this one, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
What information would, or maybe ask our architects if they have thoughts that, trying to get, and again, I understand the struggle of trying to figure out, well, what are the pieces that might help make a decision one way or the other. Ms. Davis?
Since you called on our architects, I would like them to answer a question for me when they talk. Because the lot is .14 and I don't see an alley, and it looks like most of these have a driveway, I guess I have a concern about parking once you put the 2 on the lot, because there's no rear access to this parcel. And I mean, I know that we all kind of view this differently, and I definitely respect the chairman's perspective. But 9%-10% just seems like a bigger leap for me than maybe like 3 to 5%. So if the architects could, in their wisdom, could talk a little bit about that too, it would help me. So that was it.
Okay, Ms. Carpenter?
Well, I'm not sure I'm going to share any wisdom. However, it seems that this is a developing area, as the current council person and the prior council person have gone to efforts to allow density in this area. I'm not a huge fan of 2 on 1 lot, but given the fact this is the way the neighborhood appears to be going, there's no opposition. Most of the neighbors can put 2 on 1 lot. So he would be, getting what his neighbors are getting. Regarding parking in the front, there's certain alternative zoning districts that prohibit that. This is not one of those districts. I don't really like parking in the front, but I'd have to agree with where the chairman was going with this. It seems that he would be, it's the odd-shaped lot is prohibiting him from getting what his neighbors are getting.
Mr. Newton?
I think I'd have to agree with Ms. Carpenter's assessment. I think that it's a small lot, but it's pretty in line with most of the rest of the neighborhood, and it appears that just the shape of it is what's preventing him from having the ability to build 2 houses. And just from looking at some of the other ones in the neighborhood, it appears that most of them, either don't have driveways and park on the street or have alley access. So I don't think there's doesn't appear to be a clear standard as far as that goes. but just knowing the part of town, it is pretty accessible for bike and pedestrian kind of transportation. So that would be my thought. And I'd be inclined to agree and feel it's appropriate hardship for the size of the lot.
Mr. Pepper, did you have your hand up at one point? Mr. Pepper?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have my microphone on. I'm learning. I do think that there is a hardship in that this is a weird and odd shaped lot. And I always think that if somebody's within 10% if there's a 10% or less deviation, I just have been always willing to be flexible about that. So I will make a motion that we approve the application.
Have a motion. Is there a second? Ms. Carpenter.
I will second, with the hardship being the odd shaped lot. I don't recall if that was said.
Okay. Have a motion, have a second. Is there any discussion? And Mr. Wallace, just you'd ask about the trees. I think on that, in our board packet, those trees are marked, and the one in the back does show the tree, on the neighbor's property, and then I think the one on his property is right at the property line on the street. But I just noted, I think it's pulled up now, the circles show where the big circles, I guess, are the canopy, and the little circles, the trunk.
Right, and the front tree would have to be removed because that's where the parking pads look like they're going, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah,
Nothing proposed.
Yeah, I don't think there's a site plan proposed. I think what was there, there's not a site plan proposed. This is just the ability to build to.
Well, am I just looking at?
There's a concrete drive that exists, but it already exists, so it's not damaging the tree. I mean, the tree's already, I guess, grown up underneath.
Well,
there's grass on the sheet. On what we see now, there's grass, and then there's a ramp, and the ramp goes to a concrete drive.
In the package I'm looking at, I think it's page 43. It shows a site plan.
No, I think it shows a potential. Oh, it does show. You're right. It does show a potential site plan.
Yeah, that's why I was asking the questions, and I want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing, because that was causing me all sorts of heartburn.
Right. Okay.
Am I right or wrong, Mr. Chairman?
I think yes, you're right.
Okay.
There is a potential site plan there that does look like it would, and
You were concerning me that I was absolutely losing my mind, and I didn't think I was that far gone yet.
But now I'm wondering about my mind. So the pendulum just goes back and forth, right? Yeah. So there is a proposed site plan that wasn't shown on our screen, but is part of our board packet. That definitely could impact that tree. But I don't remember if that was a decorative cherry or if that was.
If you go back to the picture, it actually looks like it might be a.
You want the elevation? That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a little short kind of.
Well, it looks like it got NES actually. Probably a crotch cut at some point in time. God love them.
So that's the kind of tree that's not going to have much of a life. It probably needs to be an understory instead of a bigger tree anyway. So, well, anyway, I didn't mean to confuse the question, but we do. There's a motion and a second to approve, and that was, I guess, my discussion. And is there any other discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question, and we'll vote with Ms. Carpenter.
In favor.
Mr. Newton.
In favor.
Mr. Pepper.
Mr. Chairman, before I vote, because I know how quickly we move to the next case after we vote, could we have a break after this vote? And my vote is yes.
Absolutely. Okay, we sure can. And your vote?
Vote is yes. In favor.
Okay, Mr. Lawless?
Mine is a reluctant no.
Okay, Ms. Davis?
I'm also a no vote.
Okay, and I'll vote in favor of that, so that motion passes 4-2. All right, good luck. Thank you. And then we'll take a quick 3 or 4 minute break, 5-minute break, and reconvene.
Located at 5555 Hill Road. It's a variance request from the 40-foot front setback. They're requesting an 11-foot 6-inch setback. It's also a variance from the 15-foot required side setback. And when the appellant speaks, I'd just like you to confirm that you are asking for the 6-foot side setback in an R40 district to construct a carport. I'll go through the slides. There's no one here in opposition, and once I've gone through the slides, if you'd like to come forward and state your name and address. Here's the irregularly shaped parcel on the parcel map. Aerial view. Site plan. An elevation of the carport structure. Front view of the existing house. Additional street view. Would the appellant, if you'd like to step forward and...
Sure. Members of the BZA, I'm Jason Hallman. I'm here today on behalf of Mr. Andrew Johnson. Mr. Johnson is here with me. He lives at 555 Hill Road, which is the subject property, and I live at 4210 Park Avenue. As you can see, the basic nature of our request, this is an odd-shaped triangular lot. We are asking for, in addition to the front setback, a side setback, although I think it's sort of debatable as to whether it's the side or the rear, but for purposes of just being sure and clear, we're also asking for the side setback variance. But you can see the positioning that's requested there. I think a little bit of history in terms of this particular parcel. This property actually fronts Hill Road, which for those of you that may be familiar is almost immediately adjacent to Granbury School. There's just one more lot over there. There is a neighborhood that was built in the early 80s, I guess.
No, it was late 90s.
If you would just state your name and address for the record, and that way it'll be there and you can keep talking.
Yes, sir. Andrew Johnson, I am the resident at 5555 Hill Road.
Okay, and maybe already said that, but.
And so the development that's immediately behind him is the Brentwood Chase subdivision. This was essentially the land that was remaining once that subdivision occurred for a development that, as he said, occurred in the late 90s. And it is an odd-shaped triangular lot. It's fairly large, but it has almost perfect triangular shape, which has made a very difficult space in the sort of long prongs of the triangle for him to situate a carport for him to be able to park covered vehicles there at that location. So in addition to the triangular lot, I would note that by right within the setback, you can build a fence as long as it is not opaque in that area. And this is not going to be a completely covered carport. It is going to have open sides there. So I don't think we have any site visibility issues.
That's what you're going to build, right?
Correct.
Yes, sir. The top picture would be the view of the carport from Hill Road.
From the street.
And then within the driveway there, not facing the street, is the open bay where we would pull in the car and have a utility trailer.
And there's an existing concrete pad that you're going to build on. Is that right? I mean, it's already
a driveway and parking pad. Yes.
So you're not going to do any more concrete work. You're not going to do anything but build a carport over what you already have as car parking area.
That's correct.
I think you said your boat, and not that it matters, but a car and a boat. And when I looked at it on Google, there was a car and a trailer, a tow-in trailer of some sort there, and so it's already being used that way. But in some ways, it gives you protection from the elements, but it also
protecting the boat is the problem.
But your neighbors.
I will not be storing a boat there. It will be the utility trailer. It will also allow me to get some tools. In the back side of the carport is almost a storage shed.
Oh, maybe that's in one of the pictures. There's a
the architect drew a boat, but I don't have a boat.
Well, like I said, it doesn't matter to me. It's neither here nor there. But it basically was just when I saw it, it made it clear to me that you were building a carport on site work that was already there.
Yeah, the existing driveway's there. It would just be to clean up that portion of the lot. And I planted about 20 trees in the area around that because there was some old hackberry trees that were there that actually fell during that frontline windstorm this past March that totaled 2 cars in my driveway. So the structure would have been totaled. But now we've replanted all that, and my adjacent neighbors are supporting this build as the tree line in the back of the property is in his backyard in Brentwood Chase, the same as Richard C. Watt. This will kind of give him some enclosure from Hill Road.
And that's the neighbor, and he has a letter of support. Is that?
He does, and then as he looks out his front door, the 3 neighbors that are immediately across from his lot, he has the support of all 3 of those neighbors as well.
Okay. Well, that was, well, anyway, I don't want to come, it seemed to me when I looked at it on Google, if I was a neighbor across the street, it would be a nice addition. It's like, oh, I don't want to look at somebody's car. It's, look at a nice little building.
I think that's
my personal preference. It doesn't have anything to do with the hardship or anything like that. So
I will just say anecdotally that Mr. Johnson was referred to me by his immediately across the street neighbor. So I know that neighbor was supportive. And then the 2 other neighbors across the street have written letters in support.
And so, the other thing that I was a little concerned with was, and definitely understood the hardship of this particular piece of property, but how does it, I think one of the only letter we have from opposition had talked about it, is it a bad precedent? And, will everybody want a carport right on the street? And so, again, I didn't drive down the street, but I went down the street on Google, and it does seem like your property's unique, and any other property, on either side, on your side of the street, any direction would have the ability to add a carport, perhaps asking for a side setback variance, which is not uncommon by this board if it's not enclosed. But it didn't seem like any other lot on your street would be in the same situation as you to come and ask. In that sense, it is a very unique lot.
That is correct. Most of them are I don't know, I guess what is kind of, not a square or rectangle, but more kind of a rock, right, where they start off narrow at the street and they kind of go back in an angle. Yeah. And so,
I think the side map that you see, the aerial view, it is the only fully triangular lot anywhere in the immediate area.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board at this time? Mr. Newton?
It looks like there's a structure kind of back around where this carport's going anyways. Can you describe that? Is it an existing structure back there? Can you describe what's going on there?
That's actually, Mr. Johnson already has the materials for the shed, for the structure, and that's just a very temporary shed-like structure to cover the wood as he went through this process.
Yeah, it's not a permanent structure.
It's not a fixed permanent structure.
It will be removed. It was just to cover the wood to keep from mold.
Gotcha, thank you.
Any other questions at this point? Okay,
I think that's all we have.
Anything else to add? Nothing to add? No other questions from the board for the applicant? All right, we'll close the public hearing and discuss. Mr. Pepper.
Can you put the site plan, not the site plan, the parcel map up again?
That one?
There you go. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. I mean, you know, to me, this is to say it's an odd shaped lot is kind of euphemistic. It is odd, and I think that when I see a lot like this, I know that the zoning laws were not really enacted with these kind of lots in mind, and these kind of lots to me tend to be the kind, it seems like after everything's cut out of a subdivision in kind of a normal way, you have these leftover lots, and that's what this appears to be. And I think the hardship exists because of the shape of this lot, and you know, I think what this applicant is doing seems to be very painful, and it comports with really the use that's being utilized in that part of the yard right now. So I don't have an issue with it, and I think there is a hardship in the shape of the lot.
Okay, Ms. Davis?
I was just going to say that I agree with Mr. Pepper. I think this is a quintessential irregular lot. It looks like a triangle. And I think that the applicant has demonstrated his due diligence and thoughtfulness in the design and how he's going to build this. So if Mr. Pepper was willing to make a motion, I would definitely second it.
And if he doesn't make the motion, I'm sure Ms. Davis just did, and I'd second hers.
All right.
Well, I will make the motion. I will make the motion that we approve the application.
Would you accept with the condition that the project be built as proposed?
Yes.
That we expect what he builds to be what they submitted to be built.
Yes, that's a good point, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Yes, I assume that, but I need to include that in the motion, that the application be approved, provided that the applicant builds what he is proposing to build, and what he submitted with his package.
Okay. And who was my second? Ms. Davis?
Ms. Davis. Yeah, I second.
So I have a motion and have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, then we'll take a vote. Mr. Pepper?
Yes, in favor.
Ms. Davis?
In favor.
Ms. Carpenter?
In favor.
Mr. Newton?
In favor.
Mr. Lawless?
In favor.
And I'll vote in favor also. That motion passes. Best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
All right, next case. Second.
We'll wait for the applicant to join us.
Oh, that's fine. All right. Okay.
No one in opposition.
Mr. Pepper, did you have a question?
Oh, let me take my hand down, sorry.
Okay. All right, the applicant for our next case is here. Welcome, and we'll have the presentation, and then we'll hear from the applicant.
The next case for the board to consider is case 2020-169, located at 1022 South Graycroft Avenue. They're requesting a special exception on the RS20 portion of a parcel to permit the use of a daycare. They want to use the existing building, which was also formerly used as a daycare. I'll go through the slides. There's no one here in opposition. So once I go through the slides, the applicant can introduce yourself by name and address and state your case.
Yes, hi.
All right, wait one second.
Let me go through the slides first.
After she's going to go through the slides, and then we'll get to you.
First slide shows it's the front portion of the parcel with the existing building is. I believe it's zoned RS20. And again, it's the existing building on the site. There's an aerial showing it on the site. There's a site plan showing the existing footprint of the building. Street view. Alternate view. You may now step forward and introduce yourself to them.
Yes, my name is Dustin Marcelino. I'm representing 1022 South Great Cross Road. Yes, you basically said about the wanting to reinstate it as a daycare. It was formerly built in 1991 and originally built as a daycare. And we're wanting to keep it and use it for the same use. We believe it would really serve the community, growing community in that area, and as well as create some jobs.
Okay.
Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there questions from the board? We have in the packet the planning department's recommendation for approval, and the council member I know has gone on record recommending approval as well. Are there questions from the board? Seeing none. Was there anything else that you'd like to add to your presentation?
No, sir.
Okay. Then we will close the public hearing and discuss with the board. Any thoughts with the planning department's recommendation and the council member's recommendation, Ms. Davis?
In reviewing the packet, it seems like the applicant has done everything right. It has overwhelming community support. I didn't see any reason to object, and I don't have any questions. I think the applicant's pre-work and the application itself sort of speaks for itself. So I'm willing to support it. If somebody's willing to make a motion, or I can make a motion.
How about you? How about it?
Okay, so I make a motion that because the applicant meets all of the criteria for a special exception and has overwhelming support from the community and the council members, that this application be approved.
All right, Mr. Lawless raised his hand at the word of motion, and I think that means he was.
I am more than happy to second that well put out motion.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, we'll call the question and ask for a vote. Ms. Davis?
In favor.
Ms. Carpenter?
In favor.
Mr. Newton?
In favor.
Mr. Pepper?
In favor.
Mr. Lawless? Mr. Lawless is still muted.
It's all right. Hit the wrong button. In favor.
All right, I'll vote in favor also. That's unanimous. That motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Sure thing. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
All right, next case. Well, you put a lot, but still.
There's no opposition. There's 4 here, but no opposition.
Welcome.
Hello. Best months, everybody. They're coming in the door. They have to go outside and do some kind of maintenance or something.
I will introduce.
If y'all could, go to the second row, and then whoever's going to speak can come up to the microphone. If you're all going to speak, then you can all come up to the microphone.
Okay, what name, sorry?
Whoever is going to represent the group, you all have an opportunity to speak. You have 5 minutes between you, but whoever's going to do the talking can go up to the podium, and Ms. Minton will introduce the case, and then whoever's going to talk can talk at that point.
Okay.
Are you going to speak then right now?
After I introduce the case and go through the slides, then I'll ask you to speak. So if you want to come up to the podium, and once I'm done presenting, then you'll introduce yourself and your.
I think I'm going to take my mask on.
Yes. Give us 1 second. She's going to describe the case. The other board members are.
Am I doing this or are you doing this?
You represent us.
Okay.
All right. Hang on a second.
One moment. So the next case to be considered is case 2020-170, located at 2417A Brashear Avenue. We're requesting a variance from the fence height restrictions in the R6 district to maintain an existing fence. I believe the portion of the fence in question was built at an 8-foot height in an area that it was allowed to be 6-foot height. I think that is what is in question in this case. Here's an overview of the parcel with the zoning. The property it's a HPR property with 2 houses, but 2417A, the front property, is the fence in question. Aerial view. Site plan. Picture showing the fence as built in the lower photo. Street view. Okay, the appellant now, if you would like to step up to the podium, sir, and introduce yourself and your address.
Yes, my name is Danny Jones, and my address is 1210 Jennings Drive, Nolensville, Tennessee, and I represent the Stevens Group. And I helped these young ladies buy this house, and when they had it rehabbed it and so forth. The reason why I think that the fence is that high is because of the privacy from the next door neighbor. There was several problems during the course of construction of the property. She impeded on the construction companies that worked there, trying to get the property, trying to finish the property. Her porch, you can actually see it here. Her porch is elevated, so it looks down into the house, and that was the purpose of putting the fence. And the only thing they're asking for is the variance is for the top 2 feet of fence on the first 2 sections. Everything else would be legal for the 8 foot. If we could just get that done, then that would be fine. And I told them that this would be the perfect opportunity for them to come here for a variance, because they're only asking for the front 2 8-foot sections,
16 feet of fence.
That's it. That's all.
16 feet of fence is 2 feet too high.
Right. And the reason why is because the lady next door, we had several problems. We have a lot of documentation about threatening text messages and a lot of other things. And I was threatening myself in the middle of my own text messages about, what she was going to do about this and what she was going to do about that. That involved the people that she knows in Nashville and so forth and so on. There was even problems where she actually came out and disclosed of cat litter in their driveway, which she tried to tell them the entire time that we were rehabbing the property. And this was a very distressed piece of property, which they turned into a beautiful piece of property and very uplifted the neighborhood. And the thing that kind of was upsetting was she kept telling them that that's not even a driveway. The driveway's on the other side of the property. Well, it was a gravel driveway. It was there when we bought it. It was there, before. But the thing that was also troubling is that it said that we have a voice recording from her that says that she didn't call codes about it. Matter of fact, she actually approved. She said she liked it. She said she thought it was fine. It made everything private. And we have that voice recording too as well, if you'd like us to play it for you. But the only thing that we're asking for is that 2 feet of variance just for that two front section, and that's all. And I said this would be the perfect opportunity to do it. It made it a private for the porch on the other side of the fence from her. She has the said it was a distressed house, and now they're paying, it has a $2,300 per month lease on the house. The house has been completely rebuilt inside and out the siding and everything. So Mr. McDonald built the house behind that. He bought the property, they divided the property. Mr. McDonald built the house behind that. That's the same size fence, it's all the way around. It's an attractive property, and it does not impede in the traffic. There's no, vision whatsoever. It doesn't hurt any. The only thing it stops is their ability to sit next door on an elevated porch and look down into their home. And that's all we're asking for, is that 2 sections of 8-foot fence, 2 feet high.
You have one letter of support, and then there's one letter from a neighbor that says she's an architect, that, was opposed to the fence, thinking that it was an eyesore that kind of blocked the view, the neighbors in their front yard. And I understand your goal was to have it end at the next door neighbor's porch. And is it in line with the next door neighbor's porch, or does it go further to the street?
Right.
Hang on. If y'all are welcome to speak and answer, but it feels, please do. It feels informal, but we're being recorded by Metro 3 and the public record and all that, so I'm happy, I'd welcome you to speak. You want to come up? Yeah, but you need to come up and...
Hey, sir, if we could just one person speak at a time. There's a lot of speaking over or attempting to speak over the chair, and it makes the record quite unclear. This is Corn Poo from Metro Legal, so just make sure there's only one person speaking at a time, so that if there ever has to be a transcript made of this recording, it's clear who is speaking at any given time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Poole, who's our Metro legal attorney for our board. And so, again, all of our board members are electronic, and so they're trying to hear, so one at a time, and then at the podium. And so, ma'am, if you could tell us your name, and you actually live in the home, right? Is that?
We own the home.
Okay, yes, okay.
So my name is Emily Zimmer.
And your address?
My address is 729 Paulina Avenue, Madison, Tennessee, 37115.
Okay.
So you're asking about the fence, if it's in line with the porch there, and it definitely stops in line with her porch. There's plenty of room from the end of the fence to the street. It's not it's not blocking anything. We were told that it's not impeding on anything, like any codes or anything like that. With the distance to the street. So the only issue was the height, from the front of our house to the end of the fence. We were told it had to be 6 feet, which we weren't aware of at the time we built it. So we had a fence man build it, he said that the maximum height was 8 feet, so we went with that.
Okay, and the question I had was, does it line up with the neighbor's porch, or does it come out further?
It does.
It does line up with
the neighbor's porch.
Okay.
I think we emailed some photos, might show you better.
Right, and I think there's a pretty, I think those are in the packet, but I just wanted to ask directly. And then you don't live in this home though?
No.
Okay, are there questions from the board? And so the main reason that you couldn't cut 2 feet off is why?
Well, let me tell you, the main reason for the fence is that, the threat, she threatened to inflict bodily harm upon us, like threatened our lives. So, we're trying to have this fence just to protect our tenants.
So who lives in the home now?
We have tenants.
So you rent the home?
Correct, yes. So I mean, the threat, it was a little overboard, and we feel like it's just a safety matter, really. Yeah. And the porch is elevated, so that's the reason we don't want to cut down to, because it defeats the whole purpose of putting the fence at 8 feet to begin with. She'll be able to look right over it with her porch. Her porch is elevated probably 3 feet off the ground at least. So we just defeated the purpose.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Is there anything else that you all have to add? Sir, if you have something to add, you could just go to the podium and.
Again, I'm Danny Jones. I live at 1210 Jennings Drive, Nolensville, Tennessee. The Representative Stevensburg. The police, we contacted the police on one or two occasions, two different occasions. Metropolitan Police Department were called out there because of the threats that were made and some of the things that were done by that neighbor. And they didn't carry the fence all the way out to the road, didn't impede on any traffic view, anything else. The only thing we did was stop that, and they were advised by the fencing company that they could go to 8 feet to that point. And whenever they stuck that, that's what they did. And then supposedly we have a recording from her that says it's approved, that she approved of it. She thought it was fine.
Okay. All right, anything else? All right. Ma'am, anything else that you'll have to add? Okay, then we'll close the public hearing and have a discussion from the board. You know, one of the things that I've asked our zoning administrator about, because it seems like that this is clearly tied to a neighbor, and it seems clear that when the, just based on the information that's presented, that there are issues between the neighbors, and not our job, thankfully, to go into any of that, other than just to recognize that there are issues between the neighbors. You know, my question was, and it's hard to administer, but can you put a time frame on the variance so that at some point down the road, if the neighbors don't like the fence and complain about it, and the neighbors maybe not living there anymore, then that fence could be remedied and put back to code. But in the meantime, allow it to stand in order to hopefully make better neighbors with a big fence. Mr. Pepper.
Can you hear me? Did I turn on my mic? Okay. I have read through, there's obviously a problem between the neighbors, and I have read through these texts, and if it was a hardship to have a difficult neighbor, and I'm referring to these texts, and I think that's being generous, then there would certainly be a hardship here. But that's not one. I do wonder whether, I do think the front porch of this house where the fence is, it is elevated in a way that it looks over the other property, and I'm inclined to think that may to some extent be a unique feature. And it just seems to me like, the fence, the code is 6 feet, but I can certainly understand why they want to keep it 8 feet. And I do see a potential hardship in the proximity of that porch to the other property and the elevation of it. But that's the only hardship I can see. If somebody else can see one, then I'm open to hear about that.
All right, Mr. Eaton.
Just wanted to say I appreciated the analysis and the letter provided by Ms. Hsu, who appears to be an architect. And frankly, I probably put, you know, the weight of the other neighbors that would have to look at this, you know, over time, you know, beyond this neighborly dispute. And I would agree with Ms. Shu's analysis that rectifying the fence would be a pretty simple process. I understand why the applicant wants to keep it 8 foot, but I don't think I'm seeing a hardship as far as our zoning code goes. So I would be more of a mind to deny this variance.
Other comments? Mr. Pepper?
Oh, I don't have one. I have my hand up. I just forgot to take it down.
Okay. Any other thoughts or motion? And then I guess the only other question is if you were inclined to deny the motion, would you be inclined to have a temporary solution, as I had thought? Mr. Lawless.
I was, since nothing else seems to be going on, going to make a motion to deny the request.
All right, there's a motion on the table to deny the variance request. Is there a second? Mr. Newton.
I'll reluctantly second that because I don't think it's our job to get in a neighborly dispute.
All right, there's a motion and there's a second. Is there any discussion?
Well, this is Mr. Pepper. I will support the motion too. I don't believe it. We should get into neighborhood disputes, and I don't think, you know, I think it would be good for this fence to be high for these neighbors, but I don't. I'm struggling with finding a hardship, and I thought maybe somebody else saw something that I didn't, but I don't think it's a hardship. I think it's a bad neighbor situation, so I'll support that motion.
I tend to agree with that assessment. The hardship, I think, is like you said, would be, you know, if any, the height and the openness of the porch, which allows for that. And we've only had, I think there's probably 1 or 2 cases that I can recall which came to us in similar situations where, you know, you just had somebody that was unusually difficult, and you know, I think the other case had to do with debris and rats and all kinds of stuff, and their neighbors actually wanted the fence. It was the neighbors wanting the fence, not the applicant was happy to keep it, but it was the neighbors that all wanted it. Maybe a little different situation. Yeah, I tend to support at least a temporary relief, but I understand the points made, and I know it's a slippery slope too. It's just rare that it happens. Mr. Newton.
Is there any way, and I don't know, I'm not sure how this applies to the zoning code, but is there any restrictions on creating some kind of a green screen there? Is there an opportunity to do that you know, could provide some of the privacy desire without having a fence there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's right along their driveway, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Okay, well, I would suggest that option to the homeowners if this is denied.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? If not, we'll call the question, and I can't remember who made the motion, so I'll just start at the top with Ms. Davis.
I'm in favor.
Ms. Karpenick?
In favor.
Mr. Newton?
In favor.
Mr. Pepper?
In favor.
Mr. Lawless?
I'm in favor, and I think I'm the one that started this, so.
Okay, so you made the motion, yeah, okay, and then I'm going to vote against that motion, but it passes 5-1. I wish you all the best. All right, next case.
Well, she was coming. The issue is the camera, not the.
That's a private issue. That is not a code issue.
No, yeah, but.
Yeah.
All right. That was the last one that last finished case was the one where they couldn't send their whole front yard, all the neighbors report because they had rats and all kinds. I can't remember what hardship we came up with, but everybody was happy on that. Rats are a rare hardship. Everybody was in.
The appellant for case 171? She's just making sure there's no one here in opposition. No.
All right. The cost of being present.
The next case for the board to consider is case 2020-171 located at 1616 Gallatin Pike. They're requesting a variance from the bypass lane requirement in the SDR district to construct a fast food restaurant. They're requesting to waive the requirement.
All right, ma'am, if you would go to the podium, and Ms. Minton is going to review the case, and as soon as she's done reviewing the case, then we'll have you make your case.
Okay, perfect. And for the record, there is no one here in opposition, so we'll go through the slides, and then, like we said, you'll introduce yourself, make your statement. Here's the zoning map showing, it highlighted in pink is the property in question. An aerial view showing the proposed site. Survey and site plan showing the drive-through queuing. View of existing property and adjacent property lines. At this point, if you'll introduce yourself and state your name.
Yeah, of course. My name is Kelsey Bright. I'm here with S&H Group to defend this case.
Can you move a little bit away from the microphone? I'm having a hard time hearing.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So as you said, the case is 1616 Gallatin Pike. The project is a renovation of the existing building as well as some minor parking lot adjustments to be used as a fast food restaurant. The existing use is for an urgent care center that's now vacant. The hardship that we're facing here is existing lot dimensions and size constraints. So the bypass lane requirement for a drive-through lane requests a minimum of 12 feet for a bypass lane. And if you refer to the site plan, we have enough room in the existing through lane for an 11-foot drive-through lane. However, there's not enough space between the existing through lane and the property line in order to put a bypass lane next to the drive-through lane. There's currently 8 feet there, so it's just not possible. However, this business does need a drive-through. It's vital for the success of this business. So we have provided some sort of solution in the form of an alternate bypass lane suggestion. So the black arrows on the site plan show an alternate bypass lane going off the property and back onto the property with 2 quick right turns that should have a low impact on traffic in that shopping center access road. Therefore, the intent of the bypass lane will be met in some form, in our opinion. And in conclusion, we did reach out to the council member for this district, and he did provide a support letter that was provided to you in the document.
Yeah, Councilman Young, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Zach, there's a letter in our packet from him supporting this project. Mm-hmm. So you said the building exists, and and basically the parking lot exists. You may have some minor. It looks like you're going to add parking to where the compact spaces are now. And I guess the only question I had when I was looking at it was if you if I pulled in to that parking lot, or to the parking at the very bottom of that screen, and it was full, how do I turn around, or how do I get out? You know, that was really the only question I had, was that, you know, is there adequate space? And there may be. I just didn't read it.
Right, and we didn't mention that part there, but that is the intention of that no parking striping area, and then the width of that parking lot space right from the dumpster provides enough for a turnaround. We did do an auto-turn analysis on that.
Okay, so it meets. So if a car did come in there, they could turn around, and so nobody's going to be blocked in, and you have an alternative path.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Pepper, you had a question?
I do. So, and maybe I'm not understanding it based on what I just heard, but I mean, and you're calling this an alternate bypass lane, but it looks to me like what happens is you've got a driver's got the opportunity to bail out and kind of take a right turn there, but then once you get into the I'll call it the lane or the chute there, and people can pull in behind you, and then you can't get out. Is that fair to say? I mean, if you miss the bailout to the right and you, I guess, place your food order or you get in that queue, then there is no way to get out, correct? That's the way it looks.
Yeah, sorry. Once you enter the drive-through, there's no bypass lane. You're in the drive-through, but the intent is to provide significant signage at that entrance and just before the entrance, so that any customers coming in will clearly know that if they take that left turn, they're entering the drive-through.
Okay, you're echoing on me some, so I can't hear you very well. But let me ask this: so. I can't read the dimensions here, but if I get into the line and I miss the bailout to the right and somebody gets behind me, it looks like there could be, 5 or 6 cars at least ahead of me. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, realistically, it would take about, we show how many cars can fit in that 11-foot lane before it turns into a parking area. So, if they entered that lane, there would be 2 cars in front of them, 1 or 2 cars, before realistically they could exit at that angle where the drive-through turns.
Okay, so you're saying that if a driver pulls in there, they don't go off to the right, and for whatever reason, I won't say there's slow service or anything like that, but let's just say, somebody's car stalls, or there's some issue, somebody is delaying it for some reason in another car. What you're saying is the worst case scenario is you'd have maybe 2 cars ahead of you, or 3.
Yes. I'm going to go back. Based on that site plan, it looks like worst case scenario, if you're sitting at the back, you have 2 cars sitting in front of you before you could make an exit. And that's if someone entered and did not read any of the signs coming up to it.
Okay, well, that makes me feel better, because I think 2 cars, you could even, if you did have somebody's car stall or something, presumably at least one person could back out. But my concern was, I don't think, if you have a situation where a driver can get into line and then not have any way to get out, and they might have an emergency, I don't know, and they've got 5 or 6 cars ahead of them, that concerns me. So you're telling me that the most cars that could be ahead of someone that could essentially would have to get out of somebody's way before they could get through there would be 2?
In that 11-foot lane, yes.
Right, okay. Okay, well, I think 2 cars that's seems reasonable to me. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't more than that.
Mr. Newton?
At that back entrance there, kind of by the drive-through, will cars be able to pull in straight into the drive-through there, or just go out?
That's an exit only.
That's exit only. Okay.
It looks like, at least we go to the next overview, it looks like from that overview too, there's a little grass strip and then there's a parking lot on the other side. And I mean, it seems like in a dire emergency, somebody could just jump the grass strip and, yeah, I mean, again, you wouldn't expect people to do that regularly, but if, you know, again, in a very unusual situation, it appears like there's, you know, not if you're in a little short car, but if you have a Jeep or something, you just start jumping. Mr. Pepper, did you have another question? Or?
No, I just forgot to take my hand down. Sorry about that, Mr. Chairman.
No worries. Did you have anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did anybody else have any questions for the applicant? All right, and if you didn't have anything else to add, then I'll close the public hearing and ask for discussion. Any thoughts? Ms. Carpenter?
Sure. This seemed reasonable to me because you would never be where you could park, where you would be parking and pulling out and not be able to get out of the parking lot. And I mean, I heard about the two. You get into the drive-through lane, you might have two cars in front of you before you can get out of the drive-through lane. But I don't think many people would go into the drive-through lane by accident. They would get stuck. I was worried more about the people parking and getting stuck in the drive-through traffic. So to me, this appeared to be a reasonable request.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Or did you want to make that a motion?
Sure. I will, well, there is another, I see another hand, so I won't make a motion.
Mr. Newton.
I was just going to jump on and second it, but go ahead, Ms. Carpenter.
Okay, sure. I will give it a try then. I will move to approve the variance request based on the fact an existing building is being reused for a new purpose, and there's an adequate way to get out of the parking lot. There's an alternative route.
All right, I'll second Mr. Newton. So second by Mr. Newton. All right, any other discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. Ms. Carpenter?
In favor.
Mr. Newton?
In favor.
Mr. Pepper?
In favor.
Mr. Lawless?
In favor.
Ms. Davis?
In favor.
I'll vote in favor also. That motion passes unanimously. Good luck. And the last case of the day. Coming up.
Okay, the final case, case 2020-172, located at 1621 Arthur Avenue, is a variance request from the 5-foot side setback requirement. The request is to use 3-foot side setback in an RS5 district to construct 2 single-family residences. It's on a legally non-conforming duplex-eligible lot. In lieu of being present, the applicant has sent in an email that the zoning administrator will read into the record, and note that there's no opposition for this case.
Okay.
Be ready to talk it through the 3-foot versus 5-foot thing, because that's so confusing a lot of times. Board members, the letter is submitted by Matthew Bolton on behalf of Timo6 LLC, the entity that is the appellant for this case. The letter reads as follows. Comments: on Wednesday, August 5th at approximately 5:10 p.m., Councilmember Taylor verbally expressed his support for our variance request to Matthew Bolton of Timo6 LLC. Timo6 LLC is the general contractor for Anchor Iris Development LLC. 1621 Arthur Avenue is currently zoned RS5, but has an existing triplex located on the property. Timo6 LLC has completed the process of obtaining the necessary electric meter records from NES to confirm that the property qualifies for legal nonconforming duplex eligibility, as evidenced below in an email from the zoning examiner. The email shown within this letter reads as follows: regarding 1621 Arthur Avenue NES records, the May 19 email from Mr. Bolton to Codes employee Mr. Walter Morgan reads as follows: just to confirm, that means we're approved for legally nonconforming duplex eligibility for 1621 Arthur Avenue? Question mark. Response from Mr. Morgan, same date, approximately 20 minutes later. That is correct. It has been added to the comments on the map and parcel. Mr. Bolton's letter to the board continues as follows. RS5 zoning allows for the construction to a 3-foot or 5-foot setback. When constructing a legally nonconforming duplex within an RS5 zoning, that side setback defaults to the 5-foot side setback. We are requesting a variance to allow us to construct using the 3-foot side setbacks that are permitted in the RS5 zoning, so that we can construct 2 detached homes instead of 2 attached homes. Doing so will allow these homes to maintain the appearance of single-family uniformity, as will be seen in the 2 single-family homes that are being constructed on the adjacent parcels located at 1623 and 1625 Arthur Avenue, as well as along the rest of the block face north of the interstate overpass. Based on the information presented above reflecting council member support, legal nonconforming duplex eligibility, and an effort to maintain aesthetic community character, as authorized representative of Anchor Iris Development, LLC, we formally request that the board approve our variance request to construct the 3-foot side setbacks permitted in RS5 zoning. Sincerely, Matthew D. Bolton, Managing Member, Timo 6 LLC. Mr. Chair.
Do you want me to go through the slides real quick?
Yeah,
Isn't at the beginning here?
Yes.
Here's the overview of the parcels represented on RS5. Aerial view. The proposed site plans showing the desired 3-foot side setback, current property, and an overview of the neighborhood.
So the current property, the Metro map and the current that shows the property cutting through a building, 2 buildings. Does it actually do that?
My understanding is this developer is also developing the 25-foot lots where you see it. There are 2 25-foot lots, and this one that they're requesting variance on is a 50-foot.
So they're just going to tear all that down?
Correct. That's my understanding.
Does the developer own 1619 Arthur, the one that has all the green on it, on that screen, that one right there where the little arrow is?
I do not believe so, but we can confirm.
It looks like it has a building on it. So what happens to that building?
Let me run through the parcel here real quick.
Mr. Pepper?
So I know that there's only, the total side setback is only like 4 feet, but I'm struggling to find any kind of hardship here, and I don't think the applicant really set forth a hardship other than that there was and I don't think a misunderstanding between what happens with an applicant and codes is a hardship. I know it's not. So that's where I am. I don't see a hardship, and maybe I'm missing it because I certainly have before, so.
Ms. Davis.
I was just going to say that I agree with Mr. Pepper, and maybe that's something through the discussion from other members that will become more clear to me. But at this point, I'm sort of struggling as well with Mr. Pepper as to sort of seeing what the hardship is.
Yeah, the only reason I'd ask about 1619 is that, if the applicant owned, if, all of those parcels and 3 feet was acceptable to all of them, then there would really be no, offense to, I don't know, it would be something that I would be more willing to consider. And it may not, based on what you all have said, it may not matter because I may be the odd one out to even be willing to consider it. But so the 3 lots, 16, 21, 23, 25, so they don't own 19. Yeah, so it doesn't look like that they're talking about the lot. So to me, to ask for 3 feet next to your neighbor that doesn't have that same right, even if you're on a 50-foot lot, I mean, and you have the opportunity to build an attached duplex and not have any setback issues, I mean, I think it's a personal choice issue. So, Mr. Newton, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was kind of where you were. I was confused on what we're looking at here as far, because it does appear that maybe the parcel map is off on this, maybe, but I'm trying to figure out what buildings.
Yeah. I think that's the case. I think it is just off, but
okay.
But again, since they stated, you know, and again, I don't think they have, you know, we don't want to. We're doing pretty well in our meeting. If we start going down the road of what they say aesthetic neighborhood choices, that we might be here the rest of the afternoon. I don't really necessarily want to get into that, but to me, it definitely seems like that they presented this as a choice that they would make between an attached versus detached, and there's no shortage of perfectly lovely attached duplexes that are creative, and you know, that's certainly something they could do here and actually have probably a bigger house on both sides. So I don't see the hardship either.
I'll make a motion to deny the application. This is Mr. Pepper.
All right, Mr.
I'll
Wallace?
second it. I'll second.
Have a motion, have a second. Is there any other discussion? Okay, we'll call the question. Start with Mr. Pepper.
In favor of the motion.
Mr. Wallace?
In favor.
Ms. Davis?
In favor.
Ms. Parpenick?
In favor.
Mr. Newton?
In favor.
I'll vote in favor also. That motion passes, and I think that's it.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mr. Pepper. Before we conclude, it will not change the result. I voted in favor of the consent agenda. I should have abstained from that, so I need to change my vote to abstain.
Okay, we'll do that, and that motion still passes 5-0 to 1. Any other thoughts or comments? All right, everybody, thanks. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
All right, stay safe.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.